So, today I'm going to talk about pediatric dentistry, and I'm going to talk about the naturally occurring spaces that occur in the transition from the primary dentition to the permanent dentition, and how this space is maintained in the oral cavity with the help of the baby teeth, and what would happen in the circumstances if the baby tooth is lost earlier than expected, and what kind of space maintenance would be needed in that situation. So let's get started. In average dentition, there is some amount of naturally occurring spaces that occur as a part of transition from the primary to the permanent dentition, and we can utilize this space to our advantage to limit or prevent crowding. Crowding is a discrepancy of arch dimension and tooth dimension. The baby teeth actually provide for function like chewing and speaking, but the main objective is to maintain the space for the permanent dentition. If the baby teeth are lost early, the permanent molars, they would drift mesially, causing arch length discrepancy and hence severe crowding and other problems. An early loss of primary teeth may be due to caries or due to trauma. If that happens, we need to step in and artificially maintain the space. So let's talk about the naturally occurring spaces in the dental arch from the transition to the primary to the permanent dentition. Let's talk about primate spaces. Primate spaces refers to naturally occurring spaces which occur mesial to the primary canines in the upper arch and distal to the primary canines in the lower arch. It's around 1.5 mm and it's lost at around 6 years of the age with the eruption of the first permanent molars. As the first permanent molars erupt, they push the teeth mesially and hence the space closes around at 6 years of age. So you could remember that the primate space is lost at the end of the primary dentition, which is 6 years. The second space that we are going to talk about is the leeway space of Nance, and it's the difference in the mesodistal width between the primary canines and the molars and the permanent canines and the premolars, which is smaller in dimension than the teeth that they are replacing. So there are variations in the values for the leeway space, but it's usually around 1.5 mm in the upper arch and 2.5 mm in the lower arch. And the leeway space of Nance is lost around at 11 to 12 years of age, that is with the exfoliation of the E's, that is the primary second molar, and the eruption of the permanent second molar. So the leeway space is also called as the E space, and you could also remember L for late. So this space is lost later in life around at 11 to 12 years of age as compared to the primate spaces, which is lost earlier around at 6 years of age. The third space that we are going to talk about is the interdental space, which occurs as the space in the front permanent teeth during the transition from the primary to the permanent dentition, and this spacing is mostly due to the growth and the expansion of the dental arches. So, some amount of spacing is normal at this age, and if you see a patient who does not have spacing around at this age, you can expect that he may have crowding later in his life. The ugly duckling stage, that is, which precedes the exfoliation of the which precedes the eruption of the maxillary canines, is around at 7 to 11 years of age. So around at 7 to 11 years of age, you may see gaps in the front 4 teeth, and to be more specific, in the front 2 teeth. And it's normal around at this age, and at around 11 years, you may see that the space gets closed. So what can we do with this space? The treatment has to do with the timing and when we decide to intervene. So space management is proactive, like a prefix. It's controlling a situation rather than responding to it after it happens. So we try to manage and hold the leeway space before the primary teeth are lost so that we can hold on to the arch perimeter. Space maintenance, what we are going to talk about today, is one step later, like we try to maintain space after premature loss of the primary tooth, because if nothing is done, the permanent tooth will drift mesially and we lose the arch perimeter. And space regaining is retroactive, that is, the space is now lost as the primary tooth was lost early and the permanent tooth has now drifted, and ideally you could gain maximum of 3 mm by space regaining. The earlier you act, the more space you can conserve and the better results will be. So what if you lose a primary incisor? So usually losing a primary incisor is not very common and you may experience some localized space loss, but it's not a very big deal and it might not require a space maintainer because the permanent teeth are usually ready to erupt underneath. What if you lose a primary canine? If you lose a primary canine, there is a lingual collapse of the incisors and hence there is a loss of arch length. So it is very important that the canines should be maintained to maintain the arch perimeter. But if it's lost, you could use a lower lingual holding arch or an enhance in the upper. So you need a space maintainer if the canine is lost because the lower incisors would collapse lingually. What if you lose a first primary molar? Losing a first primary molar would not be a very big problem as in case if you would lose a C or an E, but still you have to use a space maintainer and you could use a band or loop or lower lingual holding arch or a nance. What if you lose a primary second molar? If you lose a primary second molar, it's a problem because you lose few millimeters, which would be a deciding factor whether to extract or non-extract in orthodontics. So if you do lose a primary second molar, you can use a distal shoe space maintainer where you use a band or a crown on a D, and there is an extension which goes subgingivally and it holds and it guides the mesial aspect of the unerupted first molar, permanent molar. But if the first permanent molars are erupted, which usually is the case, then you could use the lower lingual holding arch and nance in the upper. But if the first permanent molars are not erupted, then you could use a distal shoe space maintainer. Now, why don't we use a band and loop instead of a distal shoe is because if we band the D and the D exfoliates, then there is no abutment tooth to hold on. So in that case, you lose the space for the D and E and you lose a lot of space. So that is the reason why you don't use a band and loop, but you use a distal shoe space maintainer if the E's are lost and the first permanent molar has not been erupted. But if the first permanent molar is erupted, then you can use a nance and a lower lingual holding arch. So that was all about the spaces in the primary to the permanent dentition and the space management.